One day, as the queen stands before her magic mirror, she asks her usual question, expecting the same comforting answer. But this time, the mirror responds differently. Snow White is the fairest of them all. The queen is stunned, her face twisting with anger and jealousy. How could this be? She is the queen, the most beautiful woman in the land. Her heart fills with rage as she realizes that Snow White's beauty has surpassed her own. The queen begins to plot in secret, her mind consumed by thoughts of how to rid herself of her stepdaughter. Meanwhile, Snow White continues to live blissfully, unaware of the danger that looms over her. Unable to bear the thought of anyone being more beautiful than herself, the queen devises a sinister plan. She summons a huntsman, a loyal servant, and orders him to take Snow White deep into the forest and kill her. To prove that the deed is done, the queen demands that he bring back Snow White's heart as evidence. The huntsman, though troubled by the command, knows he cannot disobey the queen. He agrees, but as he looks into Snow White's innocent eyes, he begins to doubt whether he can carry out such a cruel act. The next morning, the queen sends Snow White on a walk with a huntsman, telling her it's a special outing arranged just for her. As Snow White and the huntsman venture deeper into the dark, tangled forest, the huntsman struggles with his conscience. Snow White, noticing his distress, asks him what's wrong. Unable to hide his guilt any longer, the huntsman falls to his knees and confesses the queen's wicked orders. Snow White is horrified but doesn't panic. She gently pleads for her life, and the huntsman's heart melts. He cannot bring himself to harm her. Instead, he tells Snow White to flee into the forest and never return to the castle. To deceive the queen, he kills a wild boar and takes its heart back to her as proof. Snow White, now alone and terrified, begins her desperate escape. Snow White runs through the forest, her heart pounding with fear. The trees seem to close in around her, and every sound sends a shiver down her spine. She stumbles over roots, scratches her arms on thorny bushes, and nearly falls into a rushing stream. As night falls, the forest becomes even more frightening. Strange noises echo through the trees, and Snow White feels utterly alone. But as she continues to run, she starts to notice small signs of life: glowing fireflies, soft rustlings of animals, and even a curious deer that watches her from a distance. Exhausted and frightened, Snow White finally collapses on the forest floor, praying for safety.